Hi there, welcome to Highland Homemade Life. My name's Vicky, and this week I'm going to be showing you around my garden, my new potting shed, and show you a bit of what I've been baking today. Right, okay, onto my sourdough, and this is my starter. I call her Lagatha, and I fed her this morning at 9 o'clock with a 1:4:4 ratio. So I used 30 grams of starter, 120 grams of water, and 100 grams of strong bread flour. I personally use Allison's. It's a Canadian bread flour with 14 grams of protein and 20 grams of Dove's rye. And I use these lovely little tulip Vykky jars. The lid just sits on top and there's no plastic seal. They're great for overnight oats as well. And I'll put the link down below. And this will rise right to the top. Now, sometimes she does explode, but this is enough to make 2 loaves. So I fed her at 9 a.m. The temperature in here is 20.9 degrees. And what I find is a lot of people say with sourdough that you have to nurse it and babysit it. But I find if I've fed that at 9 o'clock, I can go to work on any day, and then between 4, 5, and even 6 p.m., she is perfect for me to start baking bread. I just leave her alone, and yeah, she's perfect. Absolutely perfect. So these are tulip Vykky jars. I make sure that I clean once I've fed. I make sure I clean so I can see. But to be honest, I'll show you later, she is feisty. So I will be making bread this evening, and hopefully, well, I know that the light's going to be good. I'll show you how I bake my sourdough. So with my starter fed, I decided to get on and make some fruit scones. This recipe is by Good Food, and I'll put the link in below. And I try to make them every week or every other week. I find if I don't make them, then my husband will just buy them from Tesco's, and they're just full of additives. So it doesn't take long, and I just really love baking. This recipe makes about 8, but as we're empty nesters and there's just the 2 of us, I tend to freeze half the batch for the following week. So it's a really nice recipe. And you can see just to the right of my left hand, I left out some sourdough starter, which I completely forgot to add. I just added some baking powder, and yeah, completely forgot to add the sourdough starter because it does give it a really good rise. And I use my Danish whisk and then use my spatula or my spatula just to bring it all together. I try to handle it as little as possible. I don't even use a rolling pin. You can see me just patting it into shape. And then I use a bigger cutter, and you can see that we've made, I think it makes 6 scones. In the oven for 20 minutes on a steam function. You could do the same thing by putting a little bowl with some water underneath. I've baked them without the steam function as well, and we'll see how they go. Very excited, and later on I'm going to be baking some sourdough. So
as promised, I thought I would show you the latest addition to our garden, which is our potting shed. That's my husband there opening the door. The door, I have this inspiration from Pinterest where you put the gloves on a piece of string to help dry, and obviously a hook for my gardening hat, and then the tools on some hooks, and this space is just perfect for what I need it for. So I had some shelves to go up, and the seed packets. This is what I was going to be potting up today. Some black-eyed Susans, some cosmos, one of my favourite flowers, forget-me-nots, some echinacea, which I'd like to do some dyeing with, and I did have some stocks as well. This is the book that I have been using for my veg patch, Veg in One Bed. I'll put the link below. And then I bought some begonias, some geraniums, and then these are my plants that need shelter, chilies, peppers, etc. And then this was going to be my job this afternoon of putting out the seeds. It's a really lovely view from here. You can see my studio just about in the corner, and I've got every pot ready, and I'm really looking forward to having this space and working in it. These are my chilies and my red peppers, and then I've got my pumpkins. These were a disaster last year, so these are staying in until they're ready to go out. And yeah, just a little bit of frou-frou, just to sort of help decorate it. You know what I'm like if you know me. But this is our garden. It was built on 1/2 acre, the house. It's the biggest garden that we've ever had and is definitely a work in progress. So I'm just taking you round the front. Hubby had to do a tip run. And I've still got plans for some pots and planters for the front, but I can only do so much in a day. So the stone you can see there, the white one, was actually from the ground when we were having the house built. And this is my cherry blossom tree in remembrance of my dad. And then our son, bought us these slate stakes for Christmas that actually says Daddy's Tree on it. And then I'm just going to show you around the front of the house, and that's my studio just up there. Then it was time to start putting up the flower seeds, and I did think about actually sowing them straight into the beds, but I really wanted to start them off in the pots because I want to be able to identify the leaves, and to be honest, doing repetitive tasks like this I find so relaxing, so meditative. I'm definitely a process person. I think that's one of the reasons I love dyeing my yarn and my fabric, and also why I love quilting. So this was a very happy afternoon spent just preparing all the pots ready for the seeds. As you can see, the soil is really dry, so they had to have a really good water after. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see them start sprouting. Okay, so we're planting our plum tree. It's one of our other jobs to do.
And I've got to mix the soil with the compost that I've got, and that's the soil I've taken out of the hole.
Look at this soil that we've got here.
It's black.
It's gorgeous, isn't it, Tush?
Good topsoil, really good topsoil.
So how have you prepared the hole?
I put fish blood and bone meal, natural feed for a healthy garden. So you put that underneath the roots, and then my neighbour told me, so I got that very kindly from my neighbour, David. And then you release some roots off the bottom of it.
And it's had a pre-soak as well.
Pre-soak, and then you put all the soil back in and compact it all in. But you've got to drench it for days now. Each day you've got to drench it.
And that was the tree. We finally got it in the ground. It's a Victorian plum. It's a pixie variety, so it should grow to about 9 feet. And I am really, really looking forward to canning some plums, plum crumble, and things like that. So it was a really, really lovely end to the day. I wanted to share with you the 2 loaves that I baked on the Saturday morning. This was a traditional sourdough, but baked in a sandwich tin. which was the first time that I had ever done it, and I was so pleased with the result. I didn't even score it on the top, but managed to get that split in it. And then this one was a traditional round boule shape with some decoration on, and this was actually gifted to one of my neighbours. So we decided to cut it because I wasn't quite sure what the crumb was going to be, and I was so happy with how this turned out. I will be sharing the method and the technique next week, because this is ideal for sandwiches, and my husband actually preferred this shape. So watch out for that video next week, and he's so well practiced in getting the perfect shot for a photo. And that's it for this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week when it's all about sourdough.